Welcome back, and in this video we're going to talk about TCP bytes in flight. So you know what to do. Get out Wireshark, download the sample trace file in the comments below, and we'll get started. So sometimes people in my TCP profiles, they notice that bytes in flight is marked as a column. I have that in a lot of my TCP troubleshooting profiles. So I wanted to talk to you about what it is and how to use it when we're troubleshooting. Now keep in mind, bytes in flight, this is the amount of data that one machine sends out unacknowledged on the wire. So it's usually best to capture from the server side. Usually the server is the one sending the data to the client rather than the client sending data to the server. It can go either way, but it's usually best to do it in the outbound direction. That needs to be your point of capture for this to make the most sense. So in the sample trace file, if we take a look, here is a simple conversation between one client and the server on the other side. So here we see our handshake, and we can notice that the large packets are headed from 192.168 to 10.0.0.1. That's simply the direction that we see traffic going in. Now in this case, this was just a simple data transfer from one to the other. Now, I want to see outstanding how much data 192.168 is putting out on the wire before it pulls back. So let's take a look at bytes in flight. To do so, just going to grab any one of these packets, going to go down to the TCP header, and what I'm interested in, if I open up sequence acknowledgement analysis, let's open that up. Those are some nice Wireshark statistics or measurements that are made for me. If I come down to bytes in flight, just going to right click that and add that as a column. That's where I can best see this. So now what this shows me is data that is put out in one direction unacknowledged. So as soon as that data is acknowledged, it's no longer in flight. So the packet number 4, let's start there. That's just a simple way to look at this. Here I've got 37 bytes in flight that was sent out to the opposite side. Well, the opposite side received it, sends an acknowledgement for that data. Come down to acknowledgement number 38. So there's my 37 bytes that was received. And now that data is no longer in flight. So in this next packet, I see 1460 going to the other side, then another 1460 byte packet, or that's the payload that I have encapsulated in that packet. That gives me 2920 outbound, all the way down to 11680. This is how much bytes I have in the outbound direction going toward the other side that has not yet been acknowledged. So, bytes in flight, very useful for me to measure. Now, a lot of times what I'm interested in, if I sort bytes in flight, and then I come down to the bottom of that column, this will show me how much data maximum was one side able to put out there on the wire in flight on the way to the other side, unacknowledged. Now remember, this number can never be larger than the TCP receive window on the other side. Now something else that I can use to get a handle on understanding this number is using the window scaling graph. Let me show you what I mean. If I go ahead and put my packets back in order, that's just for my own sanity. If I grab one of the ones that's larger going from my client up to my server in this case, I can go up to statistics, and I'm going to come down to TCP stream graphs, window scaling. This shows me those blue lines, those dots that we see. This is bytes out. So my bytes in flight is graphed for me. Here I can see bytes went out and then they got acknowledged. Bytes went out, got acknowledged. Bytes went out, got acknowledged. And then I can see pretty persistently how much data this client is putting out there in flight and how that is floating just below there. There's a little green line in there, and that is the receive window on the other side. So that's a quick explanation of bytes in flight. It's great to see, especially when we're troubleshooting that slow throughput or slow file backups or data transfers. It's a useful measurement to have in Wireshark. Now again, keep in mind, it's bytes out. So you want to make sure you're capturing on the sending side of the connection in order to make use of that data. So hopefully this is useful to you. Thanks for stopping by. I'll see you in another video.